So today in the podcast, we're just doing Q&As, right? We're just doing Q&As. We've had some, we call them listeners, viewers, people that we coach, people that are in our network of people that we coach, send questions in.
I'm not needed this episode. Look at you doing the
You
intro.
should get a phone in next time. It's like Dave from Manchester.
Okay.
I think actually there's a Dave from Manchester with a question on it.
Probably. So I've got all these questions here. I'm just going to ask them to you.
Go.
And you can take as long as you want on them.
Thanks.
No time pressure today.
Great.
I'm
Let's
not
go.
going to give you any looks to tell you to hurry up.
Okay.
So, question 1. In order for anyone to be successful, they have to give everything. At what point did you know you were all in and willing to give it everything?
Oh, what point? So at what point did I know that I was all in my career?
Yeah, ready to fully commit.
Once I understood. So I think there's a process that I teach people this actually, and it's really good for anybody watching. So
Share.
I will share. I'm gonna share the secret sauce. All right? No, there's definitely a process. There's definitely a wee system here. I'm figuring out if something's for you and get into career mode. And the first thing is figuring out whether it's right for you. So what do I mean whether a career's right for you? Everybody's looking for different things, right? I think the majority of people are looking for fun, money, and development. The money you're looking for is different person to person. What fun is person to person is different. You love a spreadsheet. It's my worst nightmare. Puts me to sleep. I love an audience. But I don't know, you might not. So everybody's version of what money makes them happy and how much they want to make. Everybody's idea of fun is different and everybody's level of development is different. But I think you have to figure out whether the career is going to give you the things that you're looking for and it's going to meet the expectations for what you want. That's the first thing. And we call that, is this real for me? So is this a real career for me? Number 2, once you do that, you have to figure out what you want from the career and figure out a plan. Number 3, you have to go find someone who knows about the industry and devise a plan. And then once you know that it's a real career for you, what you want from that career, you know there's a plan for you to do it. That's the next part is the committal part. So for me in sales, when I tried sales, I told my parents I was supposed to go work in oil or I was going to go to the forces. I think I've said this before in podcasts. One gave me money in half the year to pursue some other things, keep fit, box, whatever. One gave me adventure with no money, but gave me the challenge that I was looking for, travel, the opportunity for growth. And then I got into sales and I was like, both those things want to go anywhere. So for the first 6 weeks in sales, it was just something I was trying. And only when I understood the opportunities in sales. So it ticked my box. Let's just start at the beginning. It ticked fun for me. Fun was just the opposite of negativity. I'd worked in construction and it was a really negative environment. I mean, there was some fun times, don't get me wrong, there were some good lads that I worked with, etc. But for the majority, it was just people didn't enjoy their job, and the idea of not enjoying my job until I was 65 and retiring for 23 was just, I remember asking my mum actually if you had to get a job, be miserable. Because in my experience, most people got a job, were miserable. They got to retirement, they retired, became an alcoholic and died. And I'm like, it surely can't be it. So sales ticked the box for fun because of the people and then the environment for me. There was an opportunity to develop straight away. There was an opportunity to make good money, but I still didn't know for 6 weeks whether it was going to be a career. I had to understand the industry and what the industry could offer me long term. And then when I understood what it could offer me long term, it then made me realise that it was going to give me the life that I'd always dreamt about. That's when I went home and says to my parents, 22 years ago, something like that, because I'm 45 now, so I was 23, and I told my mum that this was going to be my career till I was 45. I've just recommitted for another 20 years.
Thank goodness.
I know. I always promised myself that I would take a year off for my 45th, 46th birthday and rethink what I want to do as a different career. But I already have a plan for not a career after this, but the other stuff I want to do on the side, which I do. So I think for everybody it's different. I think you just got to figure out if something's real for you and real for you is it going to give you the things that you want, or is that profession going to create the life you want? So I think your career doesn't have to be a lot of people look at their career like a result. I don't. I look at it like an action. The result's my life. The results, my family, the results, the time I get, the freedom I get, the money I get, how I feel as a person. The career's an action to that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people get it mixed up and they're like, oh, I want to be a director of a company, or I want to make loads of money. But I'm like, why? And they're like, just that's it. That's the result. But that's not it. But you know, what's that going to do for your life? And sometimes people figure out that they're chasing something that actually isn't going to help their life, and it's the wrong thing. So I think everybody's on their own journey. I seen you look at me for cross my legs. I think
I genuinely wasn't.
it's rebalance because I've done it once. I have to. Jackie always talks
Yeah.
about. Jackie's my chiropractor, by the way. She talks about balance. So I have days where I use my left
You have
more
a
than my
left
right.
day?
I have a lefty day. I have a lefty day where I lean on my left leg. And anyway, so it's all about symmetrical and balance. And that's why I was doing it. I think everybody's just got to figure it. Everybody's on their own journey, and you've just got to figure out, is something real for you? Can you get the piece of the pie that you want? Is it possible to achieve what you want by talking to somebody who knows better? And if it is, then you just commit. I think I think what really helped me early on in my sales career was because I gave myself 22 years. I didn't say, oh, I'm going to do this for a year or two and see how it works out. I'm like, I'm going to do this till I'm 45. So it was like, it was a long, like no matter, that just means I'm fully committed. I call it shutting the back door. I never looked at another job again. It's like marrying someone. You marry a career, it's like, all right, that's me done. I'm marrying this woman or this man or whatever, and I'm committing myself fully to this person. I think when you get a career, when you figure out, you got to fully commit. That's also the hardest part for people, because what if it goes wrong? Which is why a lot of people are scared to get married.
Yeah, people
Don't
are
quote
scared
me
to
in that.
go
Don't come back to me if
all
you're a
in.
marriage counsellor and start, give me some stats. But in my experience, a lot of people are scared at failing.
Yeah, well, it's like a known fact. People are scared of commitment.
They're not scared. I know, but I think that's really fun. They're not scared of commitment. They're scared of failing. It's a fear of failure. What if I give this? What if you? There's a high probability, a huge probability. There's a 50% divorce rate, 70% divorce rate in the UK or something.
70.
I'm sure I read somewhere it was
Surely not.
proper high, right? Maybe not. Maybe I'm exaggerating. I'm a
I've
sales
heard
guy. I'm
50
probably
before.
exaggerating here, right?
Definitely 50. I've
We don't
definitely
lie,
heard
we
that.
exaggerate. But even a 50% chance of success, that's not a high probability for all that commitment. So a lot of people are like, well, what if I only go with this one person and love this one person for 50 years? Because let's just take my wife. I could, any day, I could be like 60, kids gone, raised a family together, and my wife could just look at me and go, I'm out. After, I know, but that time it would have been, what would that be, 20, more than that actually, if it's 60, it'd be like 30 something years of commitment to one thing. Your career, my sales career could go belly up tomorrow. Like, there's a huge chance of failure, but that stops most people actually having a career because they're too scared to. We get told this stupid thing, and I'm going to say stupid, and I'm going to trigger some people to write some comments or get upset. But people talk about don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's dumb. For anything to be unbelievable or great, you have to put all your eggs in one basket. You imagine going to the altar and saying, I'm marrying you, but I'm keeping my options open just in case.
Yeah.
But a lot of people treat jobs like that and careers like that. They never, ever fully commit and live and breathe something, which is why they don't get it. So figure out if it's real for you. See if there's an actual plan to get what you want. Obviously, we're talking to someone with experience. Figure out how big a piece of pie you want, then do that. And then once you've got that, then it's career time. But give yourself time as well, because to build a career, it's like building a good life with someone. It takes time and a lot of pain.
So at what point did you know then you were all in?
Once I understood the opportunities that I had in the industry, I like the sales industry. I didn't commit myself to one company. I committed myself to the sales industry because I realised very quickly, and this might sound like I'm promoting sales, but this was a genuine reason. The army had a lifeline because of age. I'm eventually, the idea of going to the forces for me was to be a soldier. Wasn't it no offence to any officers. I wasn't, no interest in being an officer or sitting behind a desk or at that age anyway.
Yeah.
So the whole idea, I'm like, at some point that career will come to an end because physically I'm not able.
Yeah.
Even if I wanted to box and take that as a career, at some point that would come to an end. Offshore, I wanted to get into drilling, and my dad actually says to me, you've got 25 years left. My dad ran like oil rigs and obviously understands oil. He's like, you've got 25 years. So I'm 23 years old. God, that means when I'm 48, I'm going to be going and looking
Yeah.
for a brand new career, and been drilling for oil. I don't know if it's a very transferable skill.
Quite niche.
So I already knew that sales was a safe bet. It was universal. I could do it anywhere in the world as long as there was companies and human beings. We call us consumers because we consume. Then there was always going to need somebody to get the consumer excited about buying products or signing up for services. So I remember saying to my dad when I actually came in, I'm like, worst case scenario, I get sales experience. Like, what's if this doesn't work out? Because he's like, what if it goes wrong, and why are you doing this? Because he's in oil. He wants me. He's one of these guys that get a trade job of a job for life. God, I had a good laugh at him at 2007, 8. Not because he lost his job, because loads of people in trades as the construction went down. A lot of my mates lost who had trades, right? But anyway, and I'm like, I'm glad I never listened to him. So I just, once I understood sales, once I understood the supply, and business is just, it's demand and supply, right? Once I understood there was a huge demand for new customers, once I understood that was going to be forever, and once I understood I could go anywhere in the world and do it, and every company needed it, which means my career was in my hands, that's when I committed to sales. I never committed to people I was working with. I committed to the industry in general.
Yeah.
So.
And how long did that take?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
6 weeks in sales. 6 weeks of seeing if it was for me. Try it. Because that's what I was doing. I'd never done it before. I just, let me see it. Let me try it. And that's actually what I says to my parents. I'm like, let me try it. Worst case scenario, I quit. I don't like it. Best case scenario, I found the thing that I'm looking for. Because Mom kept saying to me, why are you changing jobs? When you got to stick something? I'm like, when I find something that's fun that I can progress in, I'll stick it. I don't know until I need to keep trying things. And then when I found a sales job, I says to my mum, I think I found I called it the thing. I think I found the thing. And she's like, what is it? And I told her, and she's like, screwing her face up. And my dad was very upset. Told me I was an idiot. My dad actually told me I was an idiot because I went on full commission selling toys at a black bag instead of taking a stable job and gone drilling for oil, which nowadays are doing less and less. I'd probably been unemployed by now. And I'd have got a job, but I'd be retraining something completely that God knows what I'd be doing. But I forgot what's the thing. And then I just, after 6 weeks, because I was quite suspicious with commission-based sales. I was suspicious that people told me I could progress quite quickly, and because, you know, as I said earlier on in the podcast, salespeople exaggerate a lot. So when people are telling me like sky's the limit, you can make all these thousands of pounds and blah 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 blah, and I'm like, yeah, if it's true, great, but we'll see. Actually, the guy who done my final interview for my sales job showed me a management training program and told me I could be running one sales team and making money off other people's sales within 12 months. And his name was Mike Muscarella. And he says to me, why should I give you a job? You have no experience whatsoever. And I pointed at the progression opportunities, and I says, if that's true, I'll do it.
And didn't you do it to like the day almost?
I got promoted with exactly a year to the day of doing it, because he told me it was criteria based. So he told me there was no politics. He told me there was no seniority.
Yeah.
I was used to construction where everything was seniority and politics. Do you know what I mean? It's no what you knew, it's who you knew and who'd been there the longest and who supported the right team. And that happens in a lot of businesses, and that's fair play. That's just, you know, that's who you know in a lot of things, and it definitely helps. But they told me that, you know, it was a very fair promotional structure. I took it with a pinch of salt. I generally thought they're probably just saying that to get me excited so I come in and do some sales, but I also appreciated that. I appreciated the hustle. I'm like, I appreciate that. If they're lying, whatever, you know. But I went in and found out they weren't lying to me. And I realised that the sales industry was full of average people who wanted more than the average person, but were also willing to do more than the average person. And straight away it was me, so I was all in. So, and I'm still as in now as I was 22 years ago. Because I can still give me an opportunity to grow, and it's still not political, and there's still no seniority, and it's still up to me. So.
Wonderful. I hope that answered the question.
Hope so.
Smashed it. Next one.
Let's do it.
I'm going to ask from different people. So like Louis asked two, Tom asked two, so I'll go into Tom next. So then it's like
right,
everyone at least gets a question
Tom,
answered.
this is for you. Tom in Manchester, right?
Yeah. That was quite intense. I feel like you and Tom had a real
looking
moment
at you,
there.
Tom.
Enjoy that.
Tom just got a promotion in sales. Well done, mate.
Tom's just turned this off.
All sat up straight. One of the two go.
So one of his questions: if someone is looking to get into the sales industry, why is direct sales the best way to do it?
Why is direct sales the best way to do it?
Yeah.
All right. I might offend some people here who are in other type of sales, but I think direct sales is definitely the hardest type of sales to go into straight away, but you get the best training because direct, and we're talking about cold calling here, right? So we're talking about like cold calling phone, cold calling businesses, cold calling houses standing in the street. It'll build resilience quicker. Like if you're doing lead based, so if you're someone who does sales, but you're doing hot sales, not cold sales.
Yeah.
Which is a lead comes in and someone calls in interested, you're still doing sales, but you're not going to build up as much resilience as the person going and finding that lead in the first place. So I think direct sales is a really, really, really exceptional training ground for anybody who's ever going to have to sell anything. So it's we used to call it magic. We used to call it turning nothing into something. So direct sales people go create revenue that day that never existed and wouldn't have existed if they hadn't got off their butt and done it and picked up the phone or walked into the business. So I think it's the harshest form of sales, as in you're going to have to be really resilient really quickly, but that's also going to build your confidence and build your ability to do the hard work. Sales is easy. If you're cold calling, getting to the customer to sell to and finding the right person at the right time and the right product and, your pitch is on point and all that stuff, it's all the stuff you go through to get to that point. That's the difference between the good and the bad ones, to an extent.
Yeah. I think direct sales is also just such an intensified way to learn sales. Like it's the most I don't want to say intense because maybe that's not the word, but it's the most intense way to learn it.
Yeah, you can learn sales in a car showroom, a furniture showroom. There's a place called Slater's Menwear in the UK. If you're in the UK, if you're in the States or Canada, whatever, I'm not sure if they're there, but they're great salespeople. Actually, funnily enough, I'm quite sure Ralph Slater, who was the founder of Slater's, was originally a direct salesperson. But there's loads of places where you can go learn sales. But I think when you're cold calling on the phone or you're not learning how to sell. You're learning how to be resilient. You're learning how to deal with negativity. So I think that's really good training for life. I think if you're somebody who's going to run a business, you should probably get a direct sales for a while and build some resilience there. It's like getting punched in the face 50 times a day.
It also gives you so much chances to practice every day. Like if you work in a car showroom, you have to wait for a customer to come in and you might get 20 shots in a day.
Yep.
But in direct sales, when you're going to the customer, you can have 100 shots a day. Do you know what I mean? It's such a more in depth training than anything.
Yeah, it's intense, man. It's like taking 4 years of experience in something and wrap it and doing it in a year. So it excels you a lot quicker, hardens you up, toughens you up a lot faster. Also gets rid of people a lot quicker and scares people fast.
Yeah.
So, but I think even good. I don't have to do that here, right? I don't know how hard they earn it here because I don't get calls for car showrooms. Quite disappointed sometimes that no one phones to punt me another car because I'm an easy sale. I'm the easiest guy in the world. Quite sure in the States, just from watching some of the guys like maybe an Andy Elliott and stuff who specialises a lot in car sales, they go hit the phones if there's nobody in the car lot. Like they'll just go phone. I mean, if I was running a car showroom and I was legally allowed to call up existing customers, people who've been before where I've got their data, depending on data protection and whatever, right? But as long as legally I was allowed to call, if my car lot was empty, I'd be in the phones. So would my sales reps. I'm standing there waiting for somebody to walk in to buy a car. We're going to go call people. We're going to go stand in the street and try and flag people in for new cars, holding a sign, sick of your car. Just gonna go, but that's the direct sales guy.
That engine light on, come on in.
That's the direct sales guy in me when I get into it. There's nothing more frustrating as a direct sales. But again, direct selling as in going and knocking on the door, walking into the business unannounced. No one knows I'm coming. There's no appointment. Standing in the street, standing in an airport, a shopping mall, all that kind of stuff. Standing in a superstore, trying to create business. There's nothing more frustrating than me when I get into a business and ask someone how business is, and they're sitting doing nothing, and they're like, "Oh, it's terrible."
Yeah.
And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, why are you sitting behind the desk?
Yeah, I remember in COVID, and you were saying when we came out of COVID, remember you talking to a barber and the barber was complaining that the shop was just so empty, and you're like, but if I have empty chairs, why would you not be outside getting people off the street?
Yeah, there's loads of guys. You don't have to talk to anybody. Half price sales haircut. Yeah. I'd rather have bums and seating hot. I was having pizza last night, and again, this is the direct sales guy in me. I was in Franco Mano's, is that what it's called? Beautiful sourdough pizza. It was empty. And I'm like, if this was my place, because again, there's a pub across the road. There's a pub. There's all these people walking in a sugar. My people at the top of the street. Hey, do you fancy some good pizza instead of pasta tonight? We'll do 20% off.
Yeah.
Like, just get on. And when we go abroad, a lot of people get really frustrated when they go to Spain or they go to Greece and they've got everybody out pitching, trying to get them in.
Reps, yeah.
I love it. I love walking down the street and someone's trying to get me to buy something because I'm like, you don't sit about and wait for business to happen, you make it happen. But I think that's the difference. But not all sales roles, because there's loads of sales roles out there where they'll be busy and they're good at selling. Real estate and Dubai, I'm sure, kept busy all the time, right? But I think direct sales, the edge it's got on versus some other forms of sales is it teaches you go create business. Again, create something from that. I take a contract. We used to take paper contracts out. I used to say to people, I'm going to show you magic today. And like, what do you mean, what, magic? Now I'm going to turn this piece of paper into $3,000 for the client. And somebody would sign it and go, see, $3,000 for the client. It was a piece of paper earlier on.
Yeah.
And so that's, you create the revenue, you go create something from nothing. And I've took a lot of pride in that. And, you know, for some of our clients, the revenue we create is absolutely ridiculous, but it's, we had a client go out with one of our direct sales people years ago. And because they couldn't understand how we could generate so much business from walking around and knocking doors. And I think the guy lasted 20 minutes. And he's like, I don't know how you do this job. I don't care how you do it, but good job and keep doing it.
Ideal. Went back to his desk.
Years ago. He's like, how can you go knock? Because even the client is the customer who probably rejects every direct salesperson they ever see. So if you've never signed up with a direct salesperson, you just think that, and the majority of people do tell them to go away and don't stop and talk, but we don't need everybody to say, you only need like a certain percentage of yeses, you know. Even online, like we only need 3% to convert for it to be a decent website. We don't need, of course, we'd like 100%, but you know, so it's you only need a when they pay for a TV commercial, you love everybody to go by, but only for a small percentage. So even clients sometimes are the customers and can't fathom, if that's the right word to use, how we can go generate so much new business and income. But it's again, direct selling teaches you to be a proactive person who goes and finds business. And even people I've seen who've been in direct sales who run companies are always thankful that they were in direct sales. I've had loads of people through the years that have worked with me or worked in other places that I know and they run other businesses, and they swear that if they hadn't been in direct selling, their business that they have then wouldn't have ran as good.
Yeah.
You learn to deal with negativity. You learn to keep a smile on your face when you're getting rejected all the time. You learn great customer service because you're getting verbally abused over the phone or sometimes face to face. You learn how to deal with frustration and anxiety. You learn loads of stuff. And I'm sure a lot of other jobs teach you that, but direct sales is just, I suppose if it was a swimming pool, it's the deep end with no armbands on. A couple of sharks in the water. That's direct sales.
Hope you enjoyed that, Tom.
Not for everyone, Tom.
Thank God it's for you, though.
It's not. I've got loads of great friends that have come into the industry and tried it and just went, I don't know how you can do that. But some of my mates sit behind a desk all day and I don't know how they can do their job either.
You were sat in your office, for an hour yesterday, and honestly, I thought you were going to go mad.
I absolutely hate sitting in an office.
Yeah.
Sitting there, my discipline and focus gets tested when I have to sit down at a desk and do work on a laptop. I can't handle it.
Everyone here has a really hard life. Next. Were you the person to go and do 20 sales a week, or the person to train someone to do 20 sales a week?
Both. You have to be both. How am I supposed to teach someone to do? Ever asked that question? How are you supposed to teach someone something that you can't do yourself? Like that? Nah. I'm not even going to get any leadership. It's a whole nother podcast, but you know, I don't. Nah, it's not. You have to be able to do both. I can't. No one's going to respect something that comes out. Like, I'm talking about real respect. I'm talking about really internally respecting, not to your face, not and really respecting and really listening to what you're saying, lest you know. It's called social proof now.
Yeah.
Why should I buy for your company? Where's your testimonials? And how many testimonials you got? And are the real testimonials? So for me, I had to learn to be, was I naturally the person who'd done loads of sales in any campaign? Nah, I was a grafter. There was other people who could speak to a third of the people that I could have a conversation with and create the same sales. So I had to work really hard to build any type of sales skill. But the good thing about, let's just go direct selling again, I just worked 3 times harder than people. Why are you smirking?
Because I remember when we first started working together and you got the new client. Believe it or not, everybody that knows James, I remember when you were doing like 1 a day.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next week it was 2 a day.
Yep.
And then eventually you're on like 4s and 5s a day. But
Yeah.
that took weeks for you to get there. And I remember once we had someone coming in who was quite a good salesperson. And you were like, well, I need to make sure I still outperform them for them to be able to, for them to listen to me in any way, shape or form.
Yep. I had to work my butt off.
Yeah.
Again, there's none of this. It's not that there's no such thing as a natural person, but there's definitely, it's like sport. Some people are just higher skilled than others. Some people have to work twice as hard to stay on the football pitch, right? And that's fighters.
Yeah.
Some are highly skilled, some are just workhorses. And so for me, I learned skill over time. But in the beginning, the good thing for me about direct selling and being able to go out and create the business was I controlled my own work ethic.
Yeah.
So they're like, everybody sees 200 people a day. I'm like, I'll see 300. Because if I see 100 people, if I try and sell to 100 more people than you every single day over the week, that's 500 more conversations I'll have. My confidence and skill level by default is naturally going to catch up with yours eventually.
Yeah.
So I definitely wasn't natural at it. But yeah, I had to be both.
Yeah. Easy. Nice quick answer for you. I think that's the quickest you've ever answered a question. Breaking records today. What is your mindset and mentality when rebuilding a team after you have achieved so much and feel like you're having to do it all over again from the beginning?
You're not doing it from the beginning. You're never starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. You're always going to... I used to think losing teams are churn in a business. Turnover, churn, whatever you want to call it. Corporate world, they tend to call it churn, right? And I used to think it was a sales thing. Like, a lot of people left sales quick, and it's when I was running sales teams, it's when I started to pay attention to people leaving. I'm sure in all the other jobs I was in, people left all the time, but I was in one wee world and didn't notice that Johnny, who I'd worked beside for 3 months, was off, right? Because I didn't really talk to Johnny and didn't really care for Johnny's well-being either, right?
Poor Johnny.
Poor Johnny, whoever Johnny was. I don't know if
Johnny
I even
still
worked with
thinks
Johnny.
about you.
Yeah, maybe he left because I did talk to him. But anyway, but I used to really think it was people leaving was a sales problem. I had a client in Australia, and one of the I suppose the liaison for the client, who was an ex-lawyer who actually was a regional manager for one of the big companies called Carphone Warehouse in the UK. They don't even exist anymore, I don't think. But he's a lawyer, great sales guy. He was the client, but he became like a mentor to me. The guy was a bit of an animal. And I remember he sat down and I'm like, can I pick your brain? He's like, yeah. And so we sat down and he's like, okay, what's your biggest obstacle? And I'm like, just try to retain people. Like, it's really, and I remember saying it's because we work in sales, it's difficult, and the turnover of people's pretty high, and you take someone for a commission only job, they quit after 2 days, and he's laughing at me, and I'm like, what are you laughing at? And he's like, it's not a sales problem, that's a business problem.
It's a life thing.
He's like, I put people on $100,000 a year jobs and they quit after 3 days. And I'm like, really? And so it really normalised people coming and going from jobs to me, because I always thought, if I had if only things were a bit different, I'd retain people more. So I would say if you're somebody who's entrepreneurial and you're someone who's someone who's just trying to grow a team in any capacity in a business, right? Or let's even say football, you're always going to be rebuilding a team. Football's a good example of that. You're always going to have to rebuild a team because players will come and players will go, and some will get old and some will get injured. So you're never going to stop recruiting. There's an awesome guy online that I watch, and if you watch me, you definitely should watch this person. It's someone that I learned. It's called Alex Hormozy, and he's like, you should always be recruiting for roles, even if the roles aren't available just now, because you just never know what talent you're going to come across, right? So I think in any business you should always be recruiting. So don't get worried when people come or go. The only thing that I do when I lose people, especially good people, if I lose someone that was good, and if someone comes in, they're not that good at their job, or not because they're not into it, not because they're not good at it, no problem, that's fine. But the only thing, and this is why I say you start from experience, because anytime I lost a big team or anytime I lost a team member, I just asked myself, and I went through a wee health check to make sure I'd done everything right. And so I became a better team leader and better at retaining good people, because you have to learn how to keep good people. Because the problem with good people is those good people need certain aspects to be met in order for them to stay, right? Remember at the beginning I'm saying we've got to figure out if it's for us. So sometimes you lose people because you're not experienced enough to keep them. But also, the better the person, the more everybody else has got to try and recruit them.
Yeah.
So you got to understand that your sales team is being pitched all the time to go do sales for someone else. Your good barbers are being pitched to go work in other barber shops all the time. So you're competing with everybody.
Yeah, I explained this to someone the other day and they was like, I would never even thought of that. If you found all of these people from your sales team because they applied for a job online, those job websites email them every single day when similar vacancies become available. So don't forget, like, they are literally being approached every single day.
I always look inward before outwards. I don't get upset at the left. I just ask what I could have done to prevent them from leaving. And if I get to the point where I'm like, there's nothing I could have done, then I just go over it. They're always going to move on because it just wasn't their career. It wasn't. Everybody's not going to work with you forever. Again, I've got great friends that worked with me through the years that just moved on. It wasn't their goal. It wasn't their thing. It wasn't their life. It's just that the relationship just wasn't meant to be long term. Again, we go back to marry a career, right? Like marrying a person, you're going to fall in love and out of love with a lot of people. So for most of your life, you're going to have boyfriends and girlfriends. It's just not meant to be.
Yeah. I also think you really need to accept it. Like if you begrudge it, you're never going to get past it.
I don't. I just want people to be happy, and whether somebody works for me or works somewhere else. I'd rather someone left me to go somewhere else and be happy than work with me and be unhappy. But I never get in on myself. What could I have done better? What can I control? I don't get upset over I can't control if someone's not into it. I can't control if someone wants to go work somewhere else. The things I control is the things I can do. So I always just look at the things I could do better. So the next time I get someone in, maybe I do a better job and maybe I retain them a little bit longer. Again, I always look inwardly and I take a lot of pride in my ability to not just find good people to work, but you've got to retain them. And that's culture and how much value you add and how you treat them and how much respect they have for you, and are they making the right money and have they got the right opportunities with you? Do they believe stuff you say? Do they think you're full of shite? There's loads of things as a leader and a manager, a CEO that you have to learn and get good at. Again, a lot of the time you'll lose people because you don't have enough experience yet to keep them.
Wise.
So you're starting from experience, you're not starting from scratch. Just learn the lesson and move.
We move. When training people, when do you realise whether this is for them or not? Because some people get it in 2 days and some people get it in 2 months.
If the person's turning up, all right, let's just talk commission only roles, right?
Yeah.
It's a harsh lesson I learned years ago. I just use my kids as an example. My kids didn't all learn to count to 10 at the same age. They didn't all learn to go a bike at the same age. They didn't all learn to swim. We've got my 4-year-old. So I took my 4-year-old swimming last week. So I took little Ivy swimming. Being in a rush, I forgot her 2 most important things for swimming, which was a life jacket, because she can't swim yet, and her swimming goggles, because she hates going under the water. She loves going under the water, but without goggles. But it was also a good thing, because we got an opportunity to get her to swim with it, the life jacket. And she was starting to swim just as good as Matt. She's going to hate me this, Amy, if you're watching. Sorry, darling. But Amy could barely do what Ivy was doing at 6. By the time she got to 7, I kicked her in a pool in Florida. I was like, I'm over this. You need to learn to swim, right? You know? And so, doesn't it make any of my kids, some of my kids get maths quicker than the others. Some of them, maths might as well be in a completely different language, and for others, English. And point being is everybody's different. They learn differently. Some people's capacity for information is different. Physically, we're different. Attitude-wise, we're different. So don't compare one personality. Treat everybody as an individual. My general rule of thumb is the person turning up every day, are they listening? Are they trying their best? And are they getting a little bit better? Now, you might get this much better every day and I might get this much better every day, but that doesn't make you better than me. It just means you understand it quicker than me. But I've also seen that swinging roundabouts where someone might feel, we've a guy in the office just now, George, and I've always spoken to him about the hare and the tortoise race. I'm like, you're the tortoise, because he gets really frustrated that there's people that started in our industry after him are excelling and their careers are moving forward way faster than him. And I guarantee you next year about 90% of the people are behind him. He's taking way longer. He's probably taking 6 months longer to get something, even for what I expected and what he expected. But I'm like, George, you're the tortoise. The tortoise wins that race. And just, I keep saying this about him, but I see that so much in my career where maybe somebody will struggle and seem like they're not getting it, but 6 weeks later, they're the best person in the room. The people that struggle to get something tend to have a lot more consistency when they get it because it was really hard. The people who naturally get something tend to get really comfortable and lazy sometimes. This is just me giving examples. It's not saying everybody, right? And not everybody will get it, but as long as the person's and for me, if you're turning up every day wanting to learn and not getting it, it's my job as a coach to figure out how to get you to get it.
Yeah, because
that's the relationship.
Don't you have a story of someone that you were training that you went to your coach and you said, this guy isn't getting it, like I don't want to train him or something or whatever it was, and he said, I'm
terrible.
not giving you anyone new until you get him to perform. And
3 months. 3 months it took him to hit his minimum sales target.
Yeah,
it's funny actually. I get emotional when I talk about Mohammed because I was trying to build a sales team, trying to learn how to build a sales team. I had no patience with people and people weren't getting it quick. I got it quick. I was like one day watching sales after that. Never really had to learn that much about sales again. I just, I'm like, I slotted in quite easily into sales, right? I wasn't again the best salesperson in the world, but I got the grasp of it quite quickly. This guy just did not get the grasp of it. But my mentor was trying to teach me how to develop people and have patience and try to teach me this lesson of because someone doesn't get it as quick as you doesn't mean they're bad. It just means they're not getting it. So he's teaching me it. So I actually wished they quit every night. I'd be like, surely this poor person's going to quit. Like, horrific. Just what I'm like, this is just not.
This is costing you money to do this.
Yeah, like, why are you? And every morning they would turn up, morning, James. And I'm like, God damn it, morning, mate. How you doing? So anyway, he eventually gets it. 3 months later, becomes, like I says, the most consistent salesperson in my team. So once he got it, he got it. So once he hit a standard, he never went back up. So it was great. Actually ended up training and managing some salespeople as well. And we were sitting in a pub one night, drunkish. Down the stair where Persano is, down the stair there now in Glasgow. It's that restaurant in Glasgow. It used to be a pub, right? But I remember saying to him, I'm like, can I be honest with you? And it actually does fill me up a wee bit. It was a good lesson for me, but short. Anyway, so I'll explain it to you so you understand before I start babbling about the emotions that came with it. But I said to him, can I be honest with you? I'm like, I try to, like, you're terrible. Like, why did you stay? I'm like, I tried to fire you like 3 times. And Tim, who was my manager at the time, wouldn't let me. And he's like, I know. And it was a man of very few words. He's like, I know. And I'm like, you actually were spending money. You were on a commission only role. You were actually costing you money sometimes to come to work. You're making no money. Why did you turn back? What made you turn back up? And this is the bit that filled me up. Because he says, I knew I was terrible. But every day when I come into the office, you treated me the same way no matter what, and you gave it everything. So I stayed because I felt like I had to get good for you. And that's what it fills me up. I'm like, oh. And it was funny, but it's good laugh at the time, but it was a valuable lesson. And that lesson was if I'm the coach and I'm the leader and someone's turning up and giving it everything every day, it's on me to make sure that I find a way of getting them good.
Yeah.
That's when I started excelling as a coach. Because then I stopped looking for people to get things quick and started looking at, all right, how do I get you better? It's not about what time you get it in. It's how do I get you there? And for some people, it was a millimetre at a time, and for some people, it was a metre at a time. But, obviously I prefer someone that gets it quickly. We'd all prefer for our children just to get and get straight A's, but some of our kids need some extra support, right? Some of them will never get it. It's
well
just
done,
life.
Mohammed. You're a wonderful man.
He is. A valuable lesson for me.
Yeah.
It's funny because I was a terrible trainer / coach, and that one experience made me I take a lot of pride in my ability to train other people.
Yeah.
And if I hadn't been forced to do that, I don't know if my career would have went the same. So my coach was a smart man.
Smashed up.
For making me do something I didn't want to do. I suppose that's his job.
What are some tips to become a better leader when running a team, making sure I'm I'm not just managing people, but giving them the best opportunity to progress in their careers.
I take leadership extremely seriously, and just understand that all your actions and your words hold weight. People are watching. People aren't silly. People can pick up. You can't pretend to feel good. You can't. I suppose there's another, like, never lie. Never lie and never pretend. But we talked about this before. The dark side of leadership is you're always on show, right? You're always on show. So I think take your role as a leader. If you want real accountability and if you want real commitment from people and you want a team to really respect you, then you have to be flawless, absolutely flawless. And you just got to understand that everything you say and everything you do around those people is going to have an impact on them, good or bad. So I think you're doing right by people by knowing you've done the best you can every single day. That's it. Yeah. And again, going back to a question we had earlier about coaching, you're going to screw up a lot because you have to learn to be a good leader. Nobody's a natural leader. You got to learn to be a good example. And I was told you're on show 24/7. It was a lifestyle. It wasn't. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wasn't
I
a
think
job.
leadership, as opposed to managing leadership, is a very selfless thing. But I think the fact that this person's even thinking of that question and asking it in that
Shows
way
they care, right?
shows that they care and they've got that quality.
Yeah. You put your people before you. It's got to be quite good, go against your human nature and be quite selfless. Do you know what I mean? And it's easy to tell someone you love them. I'm showing them with different people. So there's so many leaders and throughout time that I've met, and everybody will tell you the same stuff. I care about my people and it's my team and I want my team to do well, but showing people's different.
Yeah.
I mean, how easy is it for somebody to say I love you to get what they want, right? Showing somebody who loves them is very different for telling somebody you love them. Telling them's just words, mean nothing. Telling someone they're the most important person to me is easy. Showing somebody's a very different game.
Yeah.
So I think every leader on the planet will say they care about their people, but I don't know the percentage wise, but there'll be some. And leader for me, a leader is someone that people want to follow. It's not a title. It's let's say you're leading a sales team and you decide to move to another company. How many of those people would follow you because you're going, not because of what you're going to do or where you're going or the money involved? How many would go? We used to call it going to war with someone. Would you go to war with them? Which is, do you respect them enough if they say they're going to war?
Yeah.
That's how you test who your friends are, right? So leadership for me is if I say I don't know, let's say we wake up tomorrow and say we're going to move to Texas and open up. That would be.
I would love that.
I would love that also. Unfortunately, Mrs. Watson wouldn't, right? And walk about with guns in the office. No sales tactic. Sell. Anyway, I'm sure that's not what it's like in Texas.
And
so
that's
if you're
leadership
in Texas,
right there.
That's management. That's a different conversation, Amanda. It's driving sales. That's what that is. But then I'd find out how good a leader I am.
Yeah.
Because how many people ask to move country to come work with me still? And people, it's you're the product. When you're a leader, you're the product. People have got to want to work with you.
Cool. So you come from a rough area.
Yep.
How did you manage to detach your mind from that life and focus on building a better future?
Moved away.
But not straight away.
Nah, I had goals to move away. I figured out how to make enough cash to leave. There's nothing wrong with being, where I grew up and the mischief I got up to, I think. In fact, a therapist told me once that's why I'm decent at business and sales and I'm resilient. And when I says there, it didn't take me long to click in sales because it was work ethic, it was dealing with negativity. It was, I'm like, I was going to use a Glasgow word there. I get beat up my first day of high school because I came from a certain area. Like that's the kind of area I grew up in. I had 2 black eyes my first day of high school because I got on a bus. I walked up the stairs on the bus and I got beat up off a bunch of boys just because I got on at a certain bus stop, right? So I was used to dealing with rejection and obstacles and had to be a wee bit resilient and tough growing up. So I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't go back and change it because I don't think I'd be who I am. But I always knew that there was, I suppose for a family, there was nicer places. I didn't want my kids getting beat up, got to high school on the first day. That's just not the life I wanted for them. So I think it was just figuring out where I wanted to go. And then for me, it was just making sure that I had a stable enough income and I learned how to make it. It's called financial confidence, right? and to get to the point where I was financially confident that I would make enough money to afford to move. And as soon as I could, I got an apartment in town and I moved out and never moved back.
Yeah, I think you also, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't want to speak for your experience, but from what I've heard from you speaking, I feel like when you did start in sales and you did find that career, you committed so much to it that largely became your life.
Oh,
so you were very quickly not in the day-to-day of that life that you were living. And so you very much quickly became absorbed in something completely different that then took you away from that.
I suppose
you didn't have time for that old life.
I didn't have time, but I also changed. There's an old saying, show me your friends, I'll show you your future, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing there's nothing wrong with where I grew up or friends or anything at all.
But friends with some of them.
Oh yeah, of course. Like, love where I grew up, love the people, loads of nostalgia, I've loads of great. It was great. It was brilliant. Nothing at all bad to say. But I think when I got into sales, I started to speaking to people that maybe that thought a wee bit different. I started to speaking to people that maybe came from different. It opened my eyes up a little bit to the world, because I think you're in your wee bubble. I was in my wee bubble of what I thought the world was. Mm-hmm. And then when I got into sales and started travelling, starting to speak to people that for different countries, it kind of, which I'd never really done before, to be fair, in any huge capacity. Yeah. And, I tend to hung about with the same people all the time, or same type of people, and even if I hung about in different neighbourhoods as a kid, it was the same kind of neighbourhood that I'd kick about. Like, I've kicked about every rough neighbourhood in Glasgow, I think,
but even that phrase, kicked about.
But it was great. I had a great childhood. I think it was brilliant. A very colourful childhood, which is great. I write a book one day, make a movie maybe one day. It was very entertaining, and I wouldn't change a minute of it. But I think just when I started getting into working in the city, getting exposed, and a lot of people, like, I did change a lot. I evolved. I speak different. I think sometimes you catch me having a little outer body experience where I remember the time I was sitting with chinos on with boat shoes with a green tea in my hand, and I'm like, and
a salmon top to top it all off.
Yeah, I'm like, I nearly wore that today, actually, that long Ted Baker top. But I'm like, I just remember that 23-year-old me looked, it was weird when I looked and went, who the fuck are you? But there's a guy called Ed Milet. Again, if you follow me and are watching this, watch him. He's phenomenal, and he has this thing. He's like, if you're the same person this birthday as you were last, you wasted a year. And so now I look at myself and go, it's all right to evolve, and it's all right to change. I wasn't running away from where I grew up. I just wanted to go somewhere a wee bit different.
And do you know what I think is lovely? For a very long time, you delayed, because we've been saying to you for years, you should do a podcast. We've been saying for years, like, it's things on socials. And I think for a very long time, you didn't do that because part of it was like, well, I think part of it was from where you grew up. What if they all saw that? And what would they not all think, but you weren't keen on that fact. But the amount of people that have come out from where you grew up, either you've heard through the grapevine or people have reached out to you directly, and a lot of them have actually said, we're really proud of you, and they've all been, like, supportive, and it's not been.
But I remember everybody as young boys.
Yeah.
So I don't know a lot of the people I grew up with as adults.
Yeah.
Or whether they've evolved or
That's
not.
What I'm saying. So don't be afraid to change, because I think sometimes you're scared of what others will think of you, but it just goes to show that.
There's some people fell out with me and thought, there's this thing where because you start to speak different, and because you want to move away, or because you want a bigger house, or you want a better life, people start to hate on you a wee bit. And, like, you think you're better. I've heard that comment before. You think you're better than everybody now. I'm like, it's because I want a nicer car or a bigger house, or do want to stay in the same area my whole life. Doesn't mean I think I'm any better. I want better. I want to be better. I want to do better. I don't think I'm better than I still don't. I'm still just the wee boy for the north of Glasgow, and I really deep. Did someone say, I watched this thing the other week, John Jones was a UFC world champion, and someone says to me, you're a good guy pretending to be bad, or you're a bad guy trying to be good? And he's like, I'm a bad guy trying to be good. And I'm like, deep down inside, I'm a North Glasgow scheme boy who's trying not to be. Like, I'm always going to be that person. I'm always going to be from there. I go back up there, I change. It's like, I never left.
For the people not from Glasgow, what does scheme mean?
Did I say scheme or did I say the
you said a
north?
scheme boy.
Hood, ghetto, working class neighbourhood. I don't know how to describe it. We describe it as a housing estate, council estate.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it. Just for me, just normal. It's not. I just call it salt of the earth people. It's where you find all the nicest people on the planet. For me, anyway. For me, still. For me, I'm still in. It's funny because we were talking about. I was talking with my mate last night about buying houses in Fife, right, on the beach, Stockman's. And I was talking about buying somewhere at Loch Lomond to go stay, which is a loch in Scotland. And I'm like, I need water. And he's like, you should move to go to Fife. And we've gone through places. And there's a place, and I'll not say the name of the place, he pointed at. And he's like, that place is, it's full of people for a certain area. I don't think they're your cup of tea. And what he meant was, it's full of posh people. I don't think you'll like them. And I'm like, so for me still, I don't live in a posh area, but to me, I'm still this really rough. I think I'm a rough guy trying not to be rough all the time.
Perfect.
There's nothing wrong with trying to evolve though, and nothing wrong with trying to change.
No, not at all.
Doesn't mean where you've been or who you are is bad. It just means you want to be different and better.
Yeah.
I remember getting told I had to stop speaking slang. I get very offended actually. I remember my coach saying to me, he's like, if you really want to be somebody who does business internationally or with people that are not from Glasgow, you have to change the way you speak. And I actually got angry. I'm like, this is who I am. And he was like, cool. If you only want to deal with people from Glasgow, then if not, you're going to have to actually, and he was Australian, so he said, you're going to have to learn to speak English. I'm like, so when I started saying yes and no, and there was a big difference. I remember my son asking me one Saturday, why do you speak posh when you go to work, Dad? And I was 10. He was 10, sorry, I wasn't 10. He was 10. And I remember driving the motorway and I remember him looking at me and he's like, I have a question out the blue. And I'm like, what? And he's like, why do you speak posh when you go to work? So I take my work every Saturday with me to get my kids for like a Friday or Sunday. And the only answer I could come up with is I says, I get paid more money for speaking like that. And he went, okay. And that was, he just seen me because I still lived in. Again, I'm Glaswegian. Glaswegians speak a lot of slang. And so with him and my friends and family, I spoke a lot of slang, but at work I had to say yes and no and try and be a wee bit more professional. I mean, deep down inside, I'm an I know what I'm him guy.
It's my favourite thing when you shift into that person when someone comes in the office or whatever and you bump into someone on the street and you become that person.
My kids think it's hysterical.
Yeah.
My kids, when I meet someone from the same type of neighbourhood as me where I grew up and I know them, I just change. It's like, I enjoy it. It's funny because I'm more comfortable, so I don't have to think about that. It just rolls.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes I have to think about what I'm saying because you say sometimes I get away with words as well because I'll swear or there's a lot of profanity. I'll just say something, the way I describe something, and you'll say it to me. Brody actually says, "Man, I get away with words sometimes." So sometimes I have to be really consciously think about who's in my surroundings and where I am and how I'm speaking. See where I am rather than where I am. Whereas very comfortably, I can just switch my default mode and my factory settings or that. So I'm really comfortable like that because that's deep down roots.
Yeah.
That's who I am as a person. See who I am.
There you go. Don't ever change. How do you get people independent when in selling as soon as possible?
I think in the last one the last podcast we spoke about confidence building. I think a lot of people. Let me think about this one for a minute so I can articulate this properly. How do I get someone to be independent? So basically, how do I get someone not to need me?
See.
There's a process for training people, which is, we says it in the last podcast, which is I do, we do, you do. That's the first part, which is I'm going to show you me doing what I'm trying to teach you to do over and over, right? See it enough 3 to 10 times. So you can see what I'm trying to teach you works. So that's my social proof.
Yeah.
So I want explaining it to you. Here's how you sell something, but let me show you in action.
Yeah.
Let me show you in action because that gives you belief in what I'm saying. Then we practice it together so that I know that you're competent with it. Mistake a lot of people make is they hold people back too much and try and get them perfect before they let them go do it themselves. The only way to get perfect at it is to actually go do it in real life situations with real customers. So you've got to let people go I think the first thing is letting people go, let them make mistakes. Don't save them every time they make a mistake. So many people, go back to that retention thing. People are so scared. It's like a parent that saves the kid all the time. Save the kid all the time. Every time the kid falls, you run and pick the kid up. You just save them. Save them all the time. Your kids are going to need you. You're actually teaching your kids to need you. You're not teaching them to be independent. And I'm not saying don't help your kids, right? But there's got to be a point where you say, no, I'm not going to help you. You have to help yourself.
Yeah, they say the best lessons are the ones you learn yourself.
Because that's when you feel the pain. You don't feel financial pain. You don't feeling the pain of not being able to eat because you spent all your money at the weekend and a Monday and not eating. That hunger will teach you. You won't spend all your money next week when you get paid. If mum or dad throw you 20 quid, what are you going to do next weekend? You're going to go spend it all again because you know someone's going to come and save you, right?
Yeah.
So the more you jump in and save people, the more dependent on you they become. I give people a lot of freedom. I let them make mistakes. I let them feel pain. There's a guy, George, we work with, and he asked me for some help this week. He's got a sales criteria to hit with his team to get a big promotion. And he says to me, can you help me financially with renting a car? And I'm like, nope. Why would I help you when you'll be tested to see if you can get into a management? No. I'm like, figure it out. And I've said, figure it out. Now, he might fail because me saying to figure it out, but that means he shouldn't be getting the promotion in the first place. So I don't mind people screwing up. That's where they're going to learn the lessons. Now, once I've done that and let them go, I think a lot of sales leaders, in my experience, and a lot of coaches and a lot of managers like the sound of their own voice. And so they're quick to answer stuff. We're quick to answer stuff because we like the sound of their own voice. We do. I mean, including myself here. We like the sound of their own voice, but we also don't like wasting time. So when somebody who I'm training comes to me with a question, the easiest thing in the world to do is answer the question. Because it's quick, straight to the point, especially when there's a sale on the line, revenue on the line, money on the line, especially if you work in a commission environment, right? Even if you don't, it's still commission to the company. So somewhere you're under pressure to actually get the sale over the line. And so sometimes you get these dilemmas of, if I don't answer it straight away, we're going to lose a customer. We're going to lose revenue. We're going to lose money. But for the sake of training the person, I'm not going to teach the person the lesson without doing it. So sometimes I purposely lose money to train the person because I might lose a sale, I might lose revenue on the spot. But that's going to teach you a lesson which is going to bring in way more revenue for the next 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So you can hear my phone buzzing, right? We usually keep it over there. You say, but anyway, we're not going to answer it. So I suppose to make them really independent is to give them the self-confidence and self-belief that they have all the answers. And the easiest way to do that is when you ask me a question. I do this with my children. So I don't know, let's say you come to me and say, how do you deal with the objection if someone's busy? I could easily go, well, here's what you say. So instead of, when I'm trying to make something independent, instead of saying, here's what you say, I'll just go, what do you think? And you go, I don't know, that's why I'm asking you. I'm like, great. What do you think? Let's take a breath. Let's think about it for a minute. What do you think would be a logical thing to say to that customer? What options do you have? There you go. You see them thinking. And they'll either come up with the answers or you have to coax them. So I'm like, maybe I'll coax them into it and start the answer for it is you can maybe make an appointment to come back. I'm like, bingo. You got it. Perfect. See, you knew the whole time. Why did you ask me? What did you... See, you don't... And I always say this line to people. See, you don't need me. What do you need me for? I say that all the time to people. So what do you need me for? Why did you waste your time and what? You don't need me. Do you know what I mean? And the more I say that to somebody, they'll go, I don't need him. I don't need him. I don't need him. And then when they go to phone to ask me a question, or come ask me a question, they go, they're only going to ask me. And this is funny because it stops people. It gives me back way more time when I learnt this. Way more time. That's my first time my phones went in 3 hours. I look after 130 odd people that could phone me at any point. They don't, because everybody knows if you phone me 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say, what do you think? So they think for themselves a lot before they phone because they know that's what I'm going to get them to do anyway, or I'll say figure it out. So it makes them think, and then they realise that they don't need to phone you because the other thing as well is if you're the person always giving people answers, people's brains are always going to seek the path of least resistance because we're lazy by nature. So if you answer their questions every time they ask you, the lazy option is to ask you, I do it with my wife in the house. Where's the salt? I'm looking in the cupboard. And she'll say, look for it. I'm like, why would I look for it if you know what it is and can tell me exactly, like, what? That's a waste of my time. Do you know, as you force me to look for it, she's like, I'm not telling you. Find it. And it forces me. But again, even me, I'm very good at overriding my laziness. I'm very good at it. But if I get a chance to take a shortcut, I'm going to take the shortcut. Why would I go the hard route? I put the Euro millions on. I always tell people this. I'm not loyal in my career. I'm loyal to my goals. And if I win 50 million, you won't see me on Monday morning. I'm looking for the shortcut. Why'd I put Euro millions on? It's a shortcut to me getting what I want. Of course I would. I'm human. So I think the more you help people, the more they're reliant on you. And the more they're reliant on you, the harder it is to wean them off you. So the quicker in somebody's career you can start to get them to think for themselves. People are scared to make mistakes. So I suppose this is another good point for anybody watching who's coaching people. How you react when people make mistakes also goes to that. Because if I say to you, figure it out, and you go away and do what you think is right, and you come back and you've screwed it up, and I even pull a face, don't worry. It's all right. Do you know what I mean? Even a tut, I roll it, I've screwed it. Because now you'll be scared to make mistakes because I'm going to belittle you or worse, lecture you or get into you. So I've got to be willing for the person to screw up when I give them reins. Do you know what I mean? Like if I let my daughters go stay in their own house and they screw up they flood the house. If she phones me and goes, how do I use the washing machine? I say, figure it out, and she floods the house. I can't lecture her on nobody but you. That was so as a leader and a coach, how I react to mistakes is going to make people feel a certain way. So if I make people comfortable making mistakes. Sometimes I high-five people when they screw it up. Like, I completely fucked up, James. I'm like, good job, what'd you do? And they're like, I've done this. And I'm like, great, what's the lesson? What do we learn? And me saying, great, I'm not encouraging them to go screw up, but I'm letting them know it's all right to screw up. And I think that's where a lot of managers and leaders get wrong. It's the roll of the eyes, it's the touch. Sometimes it's the micro expression. Sometimes it's a sigh. Sometimes people will say something, but they'll do something that contradicts it. So they'll say, it's all right, don't worry. That sigh used to go through me when someone done that. And I'm like, I asked you for help. You told me to figure it out now. What am I supposed to? So for me, I'm just like, great, it's fine.
Yeah.
Someone didn't turn up for work yesterday, made the mistake of going to a party and getting excited. I'm like, good time? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, great.
Yeah.
People are human, man, but a lot of people are too quick to get in and save people, and a lot of people get upset when they lose business because they're chasing the quick win all the time rather than the delayed gratification. Short-term pain for long-term gain, right? So sometimes I'm happy with somebody losing revenue and losing sales and screwing up for the long-term benefit.
Gotta learn at some point, don't they?
Yep.
How do you deal with people who have lots of problems outside of work, and how do you manage those people?
I mean, depends how bad it is. If someone's got a lot going on that I don't think I'm qualified to talk about, I'll point them in the right direction. There's some people in our career we've told to go see therapists, right? And psychology, same thing, therapist, psychology. My job as a coach is to point you in the right direction all the time. So sometimes I'm not qualified to have those conversations or help. Sometimes I'm being a good coach is telling people to take time to go deal with the stuff they have to deal with. And, sometimes I have to just explain to people that it's just life, and you know, they're going to have to learn to deal with both at the same time. I definitely don't push the person to be a high performer when they've got stuff going on. Like, I explain people's best to you, and how I explain people's best. Your best isn't always you accomplishing the most. Your best is going to be your best at different times, because if you've got loads of family stress, your best isn't going to be as good as when you've not got loads of family stress. So for me, I just want to get the best out of the person, but that's going to be different at different points. And again, it's not like, let's just say, I know you're somebody who can do 5 sales a day on a good day, but then you get some family stress and you do too. As a leader, as a coach, I'm not going to get into you because you've never done 5, because I understand you've got stuff going on. So I manage them with, do you know the boxes that come with fragile? Like, that's when it's fragile, how do you handle it when it says fragile? You
Handle with care.
So I handle with care, and people are going to go through life. Like, if you're going to work with people over long term, you go through life with them as well. And we all deal with love, and we all deal with finances, and we all deal with health, and we all deal with stress, and we all deal with anxiety, we all deal with everybody's gone through and everybody's gone through their own wee journey. They might, what you think is an easy problem to deal with and perform might be the hardest problem for them to deal with and perform at the same time. So I just have to have an understanding, and I just have to handle with care. And there's loads of wee specific conversations that we could get in another podcast and situations. So whoever asked that question can maybe be a wee bit more specific, and I could tell them how I'd handle that. But in general, just have an understanding of where the person's at. And when someone's not feeling great, don't try and hold them accountable to stuff they could only accomplish when they were feeling great. That makes people dislike you and resent you, and you won't go back to the retention part. You won't retain good people. So just be a human being, I suppose, for people. I think that's the other part of leading people and coaching, is you have to be human sometimes. And again, you're a salesperson, you're running a sales team, you're running a business, you want people to perform, but you're going to have to accept if you want to work with people for a long time, they're going to go through life, and sometimes they're going to be good and sometimes they're going to be shit. But they're no shit because they're shit because they're having a shit time. Lionel Messi, actually, I'm pointing this out. Lionel Messi, I hope, if you're not into football, I'm sure you know who Messi is if you watch this, right? So he moved very quickly from Barcelona to Paris Saint-Germain, right, PSG. And he probably had the worst season in football, or at least for a lot of the season he was there. He had
not a Messi standard.
Not a Messi standard, not to his standards.
Yeah.
Everybody else, compare him to everybody else, still had a good season, right? But it got to the, and so he's still the best, in my eyes. Ronaldo fans, you're going to argue, right? In my eyes, he was still the best player in the world. He just wasn't playing at his best that time. Doesn't it all of a sudden go from being the best player to not the best player? He just wasn't having a good time and having a good season. But even at the end of the season, I think it was the last 3 games, he got back to being himself, as in got back to being the wee trickster and being really good. And a journalist interviewed him, as journalists do, and they says to him, what happened? Like, you didn't play your best this season, blah, blah, blah. And the last 3 games, it seems like you came into your own. He says, I didn't expect to be in Paris staying with my family this year.
Yeah.
It was like that whole move from Barcelona to Paris, like, shook me. I mentally wasn't in the right place, and now we're settled.
Yeah.
So now I'm, it just shows you that even somebody who can perform at the highest level of a sport, probably the highest level in a sport for, decades, if they don't feel good, they're not going to perform to their best all the time. You don't bench Messi because he's not playing well. Again, sometimes you'll have good people who they're still good people. They're just not playing at their best. You just got to accept that.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen any sports person ever just be great all the time? No football teams ever just scored all the same amount of goals. Sometimes they win by a goal, sometimes they win by 5. So sometimes a boxer's performance looks easy and sometimes they barely win, or sometimes maybe I probably shouldn't have won but won. And so you can't expect your people to always perform at their best. So again, football players go through life and so do boxers. So I'm sure when they did perform at their best, it's because they're probably dealing with some life stuff.
Just be understanding.
Yeah. We all do it.
Successful people are people who got up one more time when they got knocked down. How can you tell family and friends that this will work after facing a big knockdown?
I don't convince anybody. The only person I have to convince, I stopped trying to convince the world I was going to do anything a long time ago. I don't care what your opinion is of me. It's none of my business what you think of me. I don't. The only person you should care about believing what you're gonna do is you. You have to be your own best cheerleader. My mum used to say to me, if you don't love yourself, nobody else will. And only now I'm starting to understand what she meant. It's like, if you don't love yourself, nobody else will. And I actually watched Matthew McConaughey on a podcast yesterday, and he says that someone says to him, you're so full of yourself. And he's like, well, who am I supposed to be full of? He's like, I wish more people were full of themselves.
Yeah.
I wish more people had the confidence. I wish more people believed in themselves. You have to be your own biggest cheerleader. Who cares if anybody else is cheering you? I tell you what, the people, your family's not going to pay your bills. Mum and dad ain't going to feed your kids. They might for a little while, but eventually they'll tell you have to do it yourself. So I stopped trying to convince the world that I was going to be anything a long time ago. I'm not here to convince anybody. I just had to convince myself. That was it. And as long as I believed it,
fuck him.
Fuck him. Fuck him. What's really funny is when you do become successful, the people that say you won't become successful will go, yeah, you got lucky, or yeah, we'll see how long it lasts. And there's no. I only talk business to people that are on the same wavelength as me or above me, but they get it, because try to talk to somebody about business, because business, you get knocked down all the time. You're going to have setbacks. You're going to have failures. You're going to have that in life. You're going to have it in normal jobs, not just business, right? But if you're in a sales career, commission only, you're an entrepreneur trying to grow a business, you're going to have some horrible times where people do take a quit. The guy that runs Starbucks, what's his name?
Howard?
Yeah. I was watching him on a podcast, and he says there would be no Starbucks without my wife. So he's telling this story, right? And he's like, my wife's pregnant. I'm just starting out in Starbucks. It's making no money. I have nothing. Mum and dad come to visit. Her dad says to me, we need to go a walk. And so I go a walk with my father-in-law. That's a couple of weeks I watched this, actually. He says, I went a walk, and my father-in-law was like, you have to stop this stupid dream and you have to get a job. You have to take care of my daughter. She's pregnant. She's just about to have your baby. You need to get rid of the dream. So he's like, it's the first time someone got to my head. He's like, he's right. She is pregnant. We are making no money, blah, blah, blah. And he went home and told his wife. And he says, and I was crying, so I had to give up my dream. He was crying or she was crying, one of the two. And his wife, in her own wee nice words, told him, no chance. You're not giving up on your dream. That's not my dad's place to say that. He says, generally, I was going to give up Starbucks that day because he told me it was just a dream and I had to stop giving up a dream. He says, so without my wife, there would be no Starbucks. And look what that business is today. So again, if you're building any business, it's going to look, from the outside in, you're going to look crazy. Because, and I do think you have to be a wee bit crazy, because to go work all day and not get paid for it's nuts.
Yeah.
To believe in something that's never happened is nuts. That is nuts.
Cray.
So my I don't even know if she watches it. I'm just gonna say it. I remember
someone in your life.
Yeah, that's someone in my life who was related to me, very close to me, tell me I was the dreamer, and stop talking like you're going to be a millionaire. And really fell out with me. Really fell out with me. Got really fell out with me. We didn't speak for a couple of years because of it. And I remember repeating and saying, that's because I'm going to be.
Yeah.
And I didn't need her. That same person says to me last year she was really proud of me because I've got a beautiful life and family. I mean, inner me wanted to say, told you. But, you know, why should she believe me? I went from being a guy who barely was excited about getting out of bed on a Monday morning to do a job to all of a sudden want to take over the world, right? So I think sometimes when you become an entrepreneur, you go for maybe not the most excited person to an excited person, maybe not the most motivated to super motivated, and not the most disciplined to, maybe can't get out of your bed at 9 in the morning, all of a sudden you're skipping to work on a Monday. So I think sometimes when people get into sales or entrepreneurship or have this great idea, there's a change in them. And it doesn't scare people, but it's definitely weird. It's definitely weird. And it's also really weird to someone who doesn't have a business mindset or a growth mindset, why you would work long hours with not getting paid for it. I remember loads of my mates like, you've done a 14-hour day and you only made £50, that's this much an hour. And everyone was put that you could make more if you went to Costco, and like, we don't understand. It's delayed gratification, because a lot of people don't understand. Only business people understand delayed gratification, and delayed gratification is, I'm doing all the work just now, but I'm probably not going to get paid for it to next year or 5 years down the line. Do you know what I mean? That's it. Whereas if I just go do a job where I get paid per hours, it's not delayed gratification. I get paid next week or at the end of the month for it. Some people can't understand the concept. I'm not going to get paid for 5 years.
Yeah.
I might not even get paid. But imagine all the things we wouldn't have if everybody listened to everybody who told them it wouldn't work. Guy from Netflix got told Netflix when he worked in Blockbuster. Blockbuster got offered it because he worked with them, and he offered Blockbuster, who now are extinct, and look at Netflix. He told them Netflix was the future and offered Blockbuster it because he worked there, and they says, that was a stupid idea. He's
got the last laugh now.
Yeah, KFC, the guy, Colonel Sanders, got rejected. Starbucks got rejected for hundreds of banks. It's just... Shaquille O'Neal rejected Starbucks and when he actually got offered to... Have you ever watched him talk about this?
By one of some of the franchises.
Shaq?
Yeah.
They're like, what's your biggest mistake? And he's like, I told the guy who ran Starbucks that black people don't drink coffee. He's like, every time I walk past the Starbucks in the hood,
Dies a little bit
I'm like, die a
inside,
little
yeah.
bit. He's like, because he got offered to be an early investor in Starbucks. So even somebody who's very business savvy and was like, nah, that will work. And so, you know, my mother-in-law knows a woman who got approached by the Google guys at the very beginning to invest in Google. And I think they basically told, I forget the guys' names, but they basically told them that they weren't going to give students money. Nuts. Steve Jobs says that anybody who's successful has to be a little bit crazy, because only crazy people will put up with the stuff they need to put up with to get there.
Yeah, there's a lot of crazy people in my life.
And that's whether you're in career mode, you have to be a little bit. That doesn't mean you work for yourself. It doesn't mean you're in sales. If you're a growth person who's in career mode, you have to be a wee bit nuts, because you're going to have to put. You were in the office to when last night? 10?
5.
Started at when? 8:30. You're career minded, but 8? Sorry, just started at 8, sorry. But you're career minded, right? I remember when we first started working together, my only negative with you was try to get you to go home. Still is now. I don't even say it now. I'm like, all right. So career mind, and that's a wee bit nuts. Anybody looking at you would probably be like, Amanda, why are you there at 10 at night? That's nuts.
Yeah. Do you know how many people last night said to me, I counted it, 4 different people, bearing in mind we work in an office. They're all entrepreneur, real types of people.
Mm-hmm.
4 people said, is this you trying to get the overtime for Christmas? And do you get paid to be here?
Nope.
But yeah, just goes to show, doesn't it? So if you could start from the beginning of your career and do it all again, would you? And if yes, what would you change?
Nothing. Nothing. And that's disappointing. I get asked that question all the time. Would you change anything? No, because I think every experience and every setback taught me stuff. I think my journey was my journey. And I don't remember not giving it everything.
Mm-hmm.
I was never lazy. I never tried my best. So no, I can't fault myself.
I also think we've talked about this in another episode where you talk about times where externally people could deem you know, your first year in business, people could have deemed that as a failure because you look like had a good year, you enjoyed yourself, but even that you had to do that to learn the lesson. And if you didn't go through that, would you have learned the lesson and would you be where you are now?
No, that's what I mean. I think every action has a reaction, right? And my wife and I were talking about this last night. No, today we were talking on the phone, being quite soppy, and I was just joking. I think I was joking. I made this joke at my wedding when I'm like, my wife applied for a job and ended up with, I says today she got out for this, like, no job, 3 kids and a husband. She's like, imagine I never
It's
came.
a full-time job being married to you.
I know that. But we were just talking, she's like, imagine I never came for that interview. So I think everything that's happened, I want to change a day in my life, good or bad. And I've had some bad days and had some bad things happen to me, done to me, like some bad stuff, but everything made me think different, be different, grow as a person, taught me a valuable lesson, painful, harsh. You know, I've definitely felt a lot of pain in my career, and I could look back and probably, there's loads of things I look back and go, I probably could have done it a little bit better, but if I'd done it a little bit better and not felt the pain, would have then made the change, it made me better the year after. So no, I wouldn't change a thing. The only people that do change things are people who regret, and you never regret the things you do, you only regret the things you don't do. And so there was nothing I didn't do. Like you said, I was obsessed. I gave it everything. I worked 6 days a week, 14, 16 hours a day. I took a Sunday off. I slept, hung out with the kids. I can't fault myself. Screwed up loads, was terrible. I'm not saying I had a good time and enjoyed it, but I don't regret anything because I'd done the best I could.
Yeah. Okay. Why are some leaders successful and some aren't?
Because some leaders think it's a job and a title and a name badge, like a supervisor, and they walk about in a power trip. And some leaders work hard to get a certain point. Why do some Premiership football players make it and others don't? Why do some boxers make it and some don't? I think that the difference is commitment level and consistency over time, if I'm going to answer it. So first I think some people just see it as a job, and some people see it as being more a job and seeing it as being a moral obligation to be there for people and be a good example, blah, blah, blah. So a lot of people think it's that. And then just past that, some football players and some football teams have a good season and some have 20.
Yeah.
I just think at the end of the day, it's a choice. Will you continue to... I think to be a good leader, you have to continue to evolve. Like I was saying to you last week, that I need to read more books and I need to do stuff, because if I don't keep evolving, the people that I'm leading are eventually going to catch up with me. So who am I leading? Might even take over me. So I need to keep evolving as a leader if I want to keep being the leader, because the leader's the person in front. So I still have to be top of my game in order for people to follow. You're not the leader of the race if you're second. Who cares what you were in the last race? Even if you're leader of the race for 99.9% of the race, but for the 0.1, you're not going to finish your leader.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. So being a good leader and being a successful leader is always taking it extremely seriously and always evolving, never stopping. Because if you stop, the people you're leading will catch up and then you're no leader anymore. You're the same level or behind. If that makes sense.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
What a great answer.
Is that all questions?
How fun was that?
I like that.
I enjoyed myself.
It was good.
Highlight and why. I'm joking. No, that was really good. I really enjoyed that. I feel like there was some...
Yeah, thanks for the questions, everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll stick us on Insta one day.
What, this whole thing?
No, the quest. We'll let people on Instagram ask the questions.
Okay.
That are people we're involved with, people that, so kindly follow me, either for a laugh or banter or maybe some information. Or maybe it's just my dashing good looks.
Yeah. Okay. But no, I think this was really good. And I like that it's come from people that watch this podcast, because it means it should hopefully be beneficial. Like I said, I think we'll do this quite frequently, actually. I think this is a good... I mean, I didn't have to think of questions, so I had a great prep. I had a great time.
Bumping our gums and spending 3 years going, what will we talk about in the podcast? Yeah. But also...
like stressing an hour before, being like, I don't know what we're talking about.
Nah. Real questions, real answers. I think that's cool.
Yeah. Now should we do some quick fire ones now that this is over?
What?
Should do some quick fire ones so people can get to know you, because you've got a bit of time left.
Right, go.
Favourite colour?
Blue.
Favourite animal?
Gorilla.
That was a wolf.
Nah, gorilla.
Okay. Favourite watch brand? Quick fire, Watson, quick.
I can't, there's not a favourite.
Oh, do better.
Depends on mood.
To answer the question.
Oh. So if I was going to die and pick a watch brand that I could only wear for the rest of my life, that's bad. I can't. I can't. They're all different.
Oh my God. Don't you understand the concept of this, do you?
That was really difficult. And I thought of that question. Quick, Brad. If you say only watch you could ever have, it would be my Hublot.
Right.
So that's an all-rounder, but it doesn't mean brand as in a branded, but I want to keep anyway.
You've taken longer to answer this watch question than some of these questions.
So hard. I like so many different types of watches.
Quick fire. Favourite city?
Sydney.
Feel free to turn off, everyone. This is us just having a laugh now. Favourite country?
Australia.
I thought you would have said Dubai for one of them. Is Dubai Dubai's a city, isn't it?
Move on.
What, do you not know?
I don't know.
Awkward.
Yeah, Dubai's a city in the EU, I'm sure.
In the what?
Yeah. UAE.
That's the one.
United Arab Emirates. But no, Sydney, man.
Favourite person you work with? I'm joking. Don't answer that. There'll be fights.
Because you know it's not going to be you.
Oh my God. That's not what you said the other day.
Nah, you're my favourite person to work with.
Thank you. Favourite car?
Best work friend. What?
Favourite car?
Oh, again, hard mood. Sports car or actual car?
Mood right now.
Range
What's
Rover.
your favourite car?
Range Rover.
Favourite colour for a car?
Black.
Favourite shoe brand?
Comfiness or looking?
Oh my God. Just play the game.
Yeezys. I like Yeezys. Evidently.
Favourite artist currently?
Teddy Swims.
Favourite song currently?
Don't know the name of the song.
Sing it.
I lose control.
I think that's the name of the song, to be fair. Favourite meal currently? If you don't say Wagyu burgers, you're lying.
Wagyu burgers.
Thank you. Favourite
Just for context, I eat them 5 times a week.
5 times a week?
Yeah.
7 times, surely.
No, I get.
You were having a Wagyu burger this morning at like 10:30 in the morning.
I did have a Wagyu burger for breakfast.
Ridiculous.
It's the best.
Yeah. Favourite band when you were growing up?
Band.
Yeah.
I never. Oh,
Westlife.
it was a dance. The Rhythmic State
The Rhythmic State.
dance band.
That sounds quite intense.
Oh, maybe no. Let's go. No, let's go. Prodigy.
Favourite dance move that you did in the nightclub?
I don't have a name for it.
Show us then.
No.
Favourite drink, and you can't. Oh, you'll say sparkling water. That's boring. Would you say sparkling water or double espresso
Double espresso.
or kombucha?
Double
Or
espresso.
kefir?
Double espresso. Hands down, my favourite drink. But we go back to alcohol. What was the Brazilian drink I used to drink? Oh, it's gonna know me now. There was a drink I used to drink that was straight rum, brown sugar with lime.
Oh, you quite like tequila at the end of your
Such
drinking
a-
journey.
Yeah, I love a good tequila. I loved a good tequila. I still do love a good tequila. I still could go a good tequila. I could do a whole bottle right now, but I just won't.
Don't tempt me with a good time. Favourite sports star?
Mayweather.
Favourite. Why are we doing this?
Don't know. It's fun, but let's go. It's making me think.
Favourite city in the UK, and you can't say Glasgow. Not that you would say Glasgow, but
Manny,
yeah, Manchester's a good time.
Manchester.
Favourite restaurant in Glasgow?
Oh, killing me.
Surely you don't have to think about that.
Oh, what do you think it is?
Spontini's or DiMaggio's?
Nah, mood. Right now,
Gaucho.
Gaucho.
Yeah. Favourite book?
Oh, again, hard. Depends on what the book's for.
Well, not for pleasure because you don't read for fun. So
I know.
clearly to educate yourself.
Relentless by Tim Grosvenor.
Favourite person to follow on social media right
but
now?
then never split the difference is so good. But anyway, go.
Favourite person on social media right now?
Oh, Lily Hermosi.
Yeah.
I'm really digging her content.
She is hardcore.
She's brilliant. Her stuff's good. I like Alex, but I'm really enjoying her. I
She
started
definitely
following
wears
her.
the trousers in that relationship.
I don't know if he ever sees this. Maybe it's something to say, but I really,
I'll take Alex on.
he's a machine. But
Good one.
I really like her content.
Yeah.
I really like
Favourite exercise to do in the gym?
dips, wide arm dips,
Favourite part of your morning routine?
gym.
Not waking up and seeing your wife or your kids or
I didn't go to the gym, no, just the gym. They all know the gym. I got up this morning, my Annie says to me, no gym today, and I'm like, no, and she went, you're going to be in a great mood. I'm like, it's a rest day.
Yeah.
I actually have, this part of my training is I actually have to rest.
Favourite movie?
No, man, I'm not playing that game.
Why?
I can't pick if it.
Just
There's
pick one.
so many, no. There's so many.
We're not very fun at this game.
No, favourite movie, I
TV
can
series?
never answer Friends. Hands down.
Yeah. Favourite character in Friends?
Oh, I can't. Chandler, I can.
I'm surprised you said
Chandler.
you can't.
I don't-
Favorite like celebration from every year.
Christmas.
Favorite child object. Don't answer that.
Depends on mood. Depends on day of the week, mood, how they spoke to me, if they spoke to me. Yeah, that changes. It changes by the minute.
Okay, one more.
Yeah, go.
Favorite memory from 2024.
You're talking to the guy that remembers nothing.
Well, just think of one thing and say it then. Or highlight.
See, there was a recent moment that happened that was nice, but I don't have a highlight. But that was only remember it because it's recent.
Tell us then.
When I went a 4-mile hill run and then cold water therapy with my boy.
You can't say that's your highlight of
But I
2024.
can't remember. Where did they even
Like
go this
the
year?
ball, the Ferrari event. You've done some cool holidays.
I think you're not going to remember where I've been. How could I surprise my family?
Prague?
I went to Prague with my wife.
Did you do Dubai this year?
I don't know. Have I been to Dubai this year? I've been in Dubai 3 times this year.
Right, well, there you go then.
I did.
Surely there's
Was that
been some
this
good
year?
memories.
I've been 3 times, have I not?
I have no idea.
Did I go with the boys this year? Did we go with work? I'm trying to remember. I actually can't remember. Was it the beginning of this year I was every nation?
so, yeah.
Paris. So it was one.
Yeah. Work?
Did we go?
I think so.
Did I?
Yeah, at the start of the year now.
Did I go with my family? I did
You
go
did
with
with
my family.
the kids, yeah.
Yes, I've been 3 times this year.
And then Barcelona.
Yep, we went to Barcelona.
I loved that trip.
Oh, you went there, yeah?
Wasn't it? The day before I pulled out. Great. So none of them are highlights. The highlight is your hill run.
I couldn't remember. I couldn't
This is
even
what I'm
remember how many
dealing
times
with,
I'd been to
people.
Dubai this year. I need to go to Dubai. I need to eat.
You're going to go in January, aren't you?
I don't know when I'm supposed to go anywhere.
Well, your child's planning on you going in January.
Shit, Amy, if you're watching, I didn't forget that it's your 21st
She'll be
birthday in January.
heartbroken.
Oh, shit, she wants to go to Dubai for her birthday.
Yeah.
Is that what she told you?
Yeah.
And that's a wrap.
If anyone is still watching, why?
There's no reason for anybody to still be watching this crap.
See you later.
Yeah, I know.